More on the new Apple Studio display. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by MacVoices After Dark. Uncensored, off-topic, and always off the wall. MacVoices After Dark is available as a benefit to our Patreon subscribers. Sign up at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is MacVoices Live, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We do this every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we'd love to have you join us on youtube.com/voice. That's where you find our chat in. And I just got an internet connection is unstable.
Yes,
in case you can't tell, folks, I am
he
in a
can't
hotel
even hear
room.
us. He can't even hear us respond to him. Yeah.
What it is, what we'll do when this happens, everybody just go.
So I don't know how long this connection is going to hold up, but I'm going to try it. If not, David and Jeff have volunteered to act as interim co-hosts. Brian says in the chat room, very choppy. So I will be keeping my comments to a minimum.
Go find a McDonald's.
No, there's not a McDonald's.
They have good Wi-Fi though. You get a shake.
And believe it or not, I'm paying for this Wi-Fi. So anyway, I hope that you all can hear this part. The next couple of weeks, I'm going to be in and out of availability. But again, Jeff and David have volunteered to act as co-hosts. So if everything goes well, you'll still have a MacVoices Live on Tuesday nights. And I will be back after that. But they're going to try to keep the fire going. So with that, let's go around the room. Let's introduce everybody that's here, and then we will take off. So taking my screen as always. First up, for a change, Guy Fieri. Oh, maybe no. Guy Serle, excuse
me. Viagra has been not Viagra. Damn it! I just blew that whole joke. Never mind. Hi, everyone. Rogaine.
You're growing the wrong head, the wrong side.
Right. Be good.
Yeah. But at least now we know why your hair's standing up.
If your hair stands up for more than 24 hours, Guy, call a doctor.
Call a doctor.
Yes. Also with us, Mr. David Ginsburg is here. David, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and glad you were able to make it here tonight. I know we were at a little challenge, but you're here, so we're glad you're here.
Well, at least for a little while, I'm here. Back after a week or two off, the new managing editor of the Mac Observer, Mr. Jeff Butts. Jeff, first off, welcome. Second off, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Chuck. Thanks for having me. And thank you. New adventure. We'll see how it goes.
That's kind of like this show.
Every week.
Every week.
Lots of underpants.
Warren Sklar is back. I have no idea why, but he's back. Warren, good to have you.
Chuck, when the wife travels, Warren gets to do more podcasts. And
I see.
I am now a bachelor for it's only day. What's today? Wednesday? Tuesday?
Are you not sure?
I'm really not. She's been gone for 2 days.
MacVoices.
This is
like Wednesday.
Yes.
This is the second day. Anyways,
the device in front of you is called a computer.
Warren, have you run out of food yet?
No. I actually went to the food store. I went to the food store today and I bought frozen pizza.
Yep.
And 2 more frozen pizzas.
And fish sticks.
Yeah, and non-alcoholic beer because it tastes good.
Tater tots and Oreos.
Oh man.
I got the Oreos from
double stuffs.
Absolutely. Is there any other kind?
They're the confection cookie. The party cake.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Anyways, glad to be here.
I'm going to try to get through the introductions at least. Jeff Gamet is here. Jeff, welcome. It's great to have you.
It's great to be here, and I feel like it's a privilege to get to be here tonight with the brand new managing editor of the Mac Observer.
Isn't it weird to have 2 managing / former managing editors, both with the same amazing name.
This totally checks out to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I
seem
love it.
weird to me at all.
I love it.
I thought that was a requirement of the position myself.
Yeah.
But
You're
maybe
both
not.
named Butts.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, he is Jeff Butts, and I'm just Butts.
What about Jeff Butts and Jeff Underpants? And you guys could be a superhero duo.
Oh, God,
like
one's
it.
on a roll tonight.
I know.
Jeez.
Jim Ray is here. Jim, it's great to have you. Thanks so much for being here, and again for flying the Ukrainian flag.
It's still going.
Yeah, it is.
It is,
It is.
unfortunately.
Well,
Yeah, and we'll
it's kind of great, actually.
Well, it's great that they're still going. It's unfortunate they still have to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last but not least, joining us just a couple minutes late, so she missed all the shenanigans up front, is Kelly Guimont. Kelly, welcome.
Have no fear. I've got
Shenanigans will be
of
here.
my own.
Yeah. Shenanigans are back.
Oh, good. That's just what we need.
There is no lack of shenanigans.
Oh,
here.
come on. Every week I go, is this the week? And then no, you keep letting me in. So you brought it on yourself, Chuck.
Well, but now you have
Look
to
at the
deal
room,
with,
Kelly.
Jeff and David, because they're the
Yeah.
they
Actually,
have
I
the
let you
co-host
in.
powers. Yeah,
I let you in.
just she's just what we need.
All right.
Well, we had a
The
couple
good
things
Jeff.
we wanted. Yeah,
The
we
good
had a
Jeff,
couple
not the
things.
evil one.
Had a couple things we wanted to touch on tonight. The first one, though, I think that it was on our list, was we've covered the studio display in previous editions of MacVoices Live, but this week we found out that the studio display has 64 gigs of RAM and is running a version of Mac OS, or is it iOS?
iOS.
iOS. Excuse me. I don't know what there is to say other than there's 64 gigs of RAM in there and it's running iOS, but it seems to have generated, seems to have generated a whole lot of conversation and discussion about why. And I was kind of anxious to see if anybody had any speculation or can think of anything other than they may eventually release something that turns this into a giant iPad.
Well,
No.
Chuck, first Jim's right. So Apple hadn't even finished their media event, and I was already on the Twitters making comments like, how long before someone hacks the new display to run iPad OS directly? And it's going to happen. It has everything it needs to do it, so it's going to happen. But no, this is not going to get turned into, at least from Apple's intents, a giant iPad. I think that a lot of this has to do with it was more cost effective for them to take these components that they were already manufacturing and repurpose them for the display, because they needed to have specific functions that hardware combination offers. And my guess is we'll see a few software updates that improve the overall functionality of the display over time, but Apple's intent is not to turn this into a touchless iPad.
I
Which
agree.
makes no sense.
Well, it can't be. I mean, it's not a touchscreen, and if you make
Right.
it into an
Right.
iPad, there's no control for it. You'll sit there and look at it.
You'd have to have a keyboard and
Keyboard and
trackpad.
mouse.
Yeah, but you would need to. Yeah, it's a chicken and egg. You can't hook a keyboard and mouse. to
Well,
this
it
environment.
does have USB ports, so
Yeah, so
I
you can plug the stuff in.
Now, I mean,
That's assuming the USB port is connected to whatever is going on.
Right.
There too, but,
yeah, well, it
And not
probably
just
is.
like
I
a
mean, that's
pass-through.
probably one of the reasons why it has it. Is that processor is running those ports?
it's diagnostic port. I thought this right.
Oh no, there's
it's
a
for
USB and Thunderbolt hub built in.
Well,
Yeah,
part
but
of
you
the
don't
thing
need a
about it,
processor
Is
to do
it
that.
Thunderbolt? Are you sure about
No,
that?
it's. I thought it was USB.
I think it's just USB.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
USB.
I think it's USB.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need a
But-
computer to do that. You just need a dock that's built into a monitor, which we all have.
Well,
so.
what do you think a hub is? It's a little
Well-
computer.
Yeah. No,
I
Yeah,
think,
But my
think the-
my Samsung
think-
monitor that doesn't have a computer, a chip in it.
How
has
do
a-
you know?
It's not running iOS, I guess.
You go,
Well,
Jim.
No,
the thing, though, is that-
probably not running iOS, but it is running some kind of software.
But when
No,
you
I-
get when you
Well,
get
what about
down
the,
to
the
it,
old Apple? Hold
Get
on,
him,
the old
Hang on,
Apple
guys.
Thunderbolt.
Okay, Warren.
The old
How do we
Apple
get in there?
Thunderbolt dock didn't have any kind of thing.
Oh, no.
right? A chip in there.
I've
But I had
Sure
the
it
dock.
does.
Warren,
Like Kelly.
Warren.
Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, iOS is really flexible. The thing we have to remember is that the fundamental, like, foundational piece of iOS is really small and really flexible. It's the same thing that runs the Apple TV. It runs your watch. It runs the remote, and it can run the screen. And part of the reason I think they went with it is because it's slightly smarter than just me show thing on screen, which is what a lot of display software tends to be. And that makes it a nicer, an elevated player in the Apple ecosystem. So if you have a mini and you get a studio and you want to put this display in, it'll make it easy. Maybe it'll make it easier to switch between the two of them. It'll make it so universal control is a dream. It'll make it so as you try to add other devices, that everything sort of recognizes is smart enough to see each other, know what they are, and doesn't have to do anything further. So I think that's really all it is to make it smart enough to be not a computer, but to be intelligent about the kind of display management that it's going to need to have, because you can drive one to an iPad, you can drive an iPad you can drive one with an iPad Pro, you can drive it with any of the computers that are available from Apple now, all of those things. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for this to just be a good citizen in an Apple ecosystem, not necessarily a computer of its own or anything like that. I think it's just going to be something that'll give it enough intelligence that you can AirPlay to it easily, even if your computer's asleep. Small things like that. I think it's just giving it just enough smarts to make that happen, because it doesn't have to run Angry Birds to be running iOS. I mean, that's kind of what. That's what it comes down to. Is it's not like this is necessarily an operating system you want to be able to, it's going to be more like the piece of operating system that I'm going to think of the name of in a minute. That is the part that runs just before you actually boot into macOS, Bridge OS. It's like Bridge OS. It's just smart enough to help you get over the edge into the thing that you're actually trying to do.
Barry in the chat room says a smartphone in our pocket, a smart screen on our desk.
Yeah.
I think
There you go.
And,
I think
and on top of that, including iOS in the display allows it to add extra value to older devices. We learned about that today, or maybe it was yesterday. Hey S Lady will actually work with computers that it never worked with before. Older Macs, the 2018 Mac Mini, that feature never worked with an external display before. Now it does. And that's courtesy of iOS. Center Stage probably depends on iOS. I mean, yeah, they could have macOS drive that, but why? The same with spatial audio. It takes the pressure off of the computer and lets the monitor handle it.
Yeah, you were getting in there.
Oh, I was going to say, it does seem like kind of disappointing in a $1,600 device that they didn't put a Wi-Fi chip in, so that it could be an AirPlay device. Somebody just mentioned AirPlay, but I don't see how it can be an AirPlay device. It doesn't have wireless.
Are we sure it doesn't have wireless?
Well,
Has iFixit done a teardown yet?
You just need Bluetooth.
It doesn't have that
Right?
either, does it?
No,
I don't know.
AirPlay. You also
And no,
need Wi-Fi.
Bluetooth is real low bandwidth.
It's got to have AirPlay. You can buy $200 monitors now. $200 monitors have AirPlay. This one has AirPlay.
They're not saying it does, and it doesn't claim to have Wi-Fi. I would think if it had Wi-Fi, they would say so. And yeah,
it's not listed in the system specs that I can recall.
That's sort of a fail, I think.
And
Would that be something? Would that be something though that it could be added on or plugged in?
It is very possible that it could have that chip inside, which is not enabled. And whenever
but you've got to have
iFixit-
antennas.
right? And
So-
we won't know about those
Yeah.
antennas until iFixit publishes their teardown, which I don't think they have yet.
So Apple
No, they
said if you
haven't.
want that, you got to buy the $199 Apple TV to plug into it. I guess if that's what you want to do.
Right, there you go. Or like Tesla does with
Roku.
the self-driving beta. You just have to pay an extra software fee, and Apple turns on the Wi-Fi chip.
Yeah,
You know, I suppose
really
it's
think
possible it's in there,
I-
but it seems really unlikely that they would. If they did that, they would. Why would they keep it a secret?
I'm with
Well-
you, Jim. I think you're right, but
they kept iOS a secret. They kept everything a secret. They didn't say it was running out.
But we don't care
They
about
didn't say there was
iOS. We
64
really
gigs, no.
don't care about iOS. It's completely invisible to us. It's
Says the Mac developer.
yeah. No. I mean, we don't care about iOS on this device.
he can't put any apps on there.
Yeah, you can't put apps on there. You can't.
Right. But I don't think it's for that. I think it's just to make it a slightly smarter display, to do a little bit more, to be a little bit better player
Right.
in the ecosystem.
But
That's
I'm
it.
saying that's why they didn't tell us.
Yeah,
Because
it doesn't
Because it was
matter.
irrelevant.
It's
it was
immaterial.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
But if it
Mhm.
had, if it had Wi-Fi and could do AirPlay, that would not be irrelevant. That would be a feature.
Yeah, but they could easily add features to this monitor like they do with they could
I mean,
come up with the Display OS, iDisplay OS at one point and do updates and add features just like other
Yeah,
things.
maybe
if it
version
has a
2
chip.
of this display gets the antennas.
Maybe.
yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
But if it doesn't have Wi-Fi, right? And if it doesn't have Wi-Fi as a chip in there, then there's no way to update it. Like
An existing
Yeah.
one, right?
well, right. But that doesn't mean that there's not the opportunity to make it do something a little spiffy with a software update.
Yeah,
It's
but you
connected to
can't-
your
how you gonna
computer.
push
and-
it?
Well, yeah. Apparently, they're going to
How you
fix the
gonna push
camera.
the software update?
Yeah,
How
you
they
can.
do that? So how they gonna fix the camera in the software update if it doesn't connect to the internet?
Because it'll
It's-
update the firmware
Yeah.
over the connection to your Mac.
It's connected to your computer the same way the same way everything else gets
The
updated,
same
right?
way if you have an external monitor that has a firmware update, you have to connect it to USB. In my case,
Mm-hmm.
it would be the USB-C connection that I've already got going between my monitor and my Mac, and I could update the firmware that way.
Yeah, I don't see Apple making it that difficult for these people to do that, right?
No, it'll
do
come out
what?
like
I mean, it wouldn't be difficult at all. It would just be a seamless update. You'd
would
see
be
it in
in-
software update.
it would
So
be in
this-
software
this-
update, and
right.
it would just download to your Mac, or they'll publish a tech note, and if you have a PC that you've hooked this up to, then there'll be a file you can download, and you wait, and then it'll update it. I mean, it'll be like AirPods, right? Like you just
Well,
wake
if
up
they-
one morning and it goes, "Hi, it's
And it's
updated.
already
Thank you. Drive
updated.
through." Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Right,
I think you
because
hit on
AirPods
what they may
are-
do.
Yeah,
Do
the
it.
AirPods are
Do
wireless.
updates like AirPods where you don't explicitly go and say install the update.
Yeah.
It
Just
just
does it.
happens in the background at some point along the way,
Yeah.
and we don't have to
Yeah.
worry our pretty little heads about
Right.
what OS version our display is running.
Right. Or
And there'll be a
HomePods,
new U2 album there.
Well, that's
We can
probably
live in
only
that,
going to be. That's probably only going to be true if you're running a up-to-date version of Mac OS. If you're running Windows or Linux or an older version of Mac OS with it, then it probably won't do the updates
Right, and-
automatically.
And that's actually something Apple has already confirmed, because there was confirmation that you can use the Studio Display with a Windows PC, for example, but you won't get the updates to the firmware if that's
They say
your
that.
your daily driver.
And
Because if
and
they're saying that, then
anything
that answers my question of how they get. Then my big question is how they're going to get the updates
And-
up to this monitor.
This edition of Mac Voices is supported by our Patreon subscribers and Mac Voices After Dark. Ever wonder what happens before the Mac Voices live shows? Or what happens when the show ends or after the live feed closes? That's where Mac Voices After Dark comes in. If you are a Patreon supporter at any level, you get access to the video of our off-camera conversations. Uncensored, unedited, and always off the wall. It's a small thank you to our Patreon supporters who want to peek behind the curtain. Become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/MacVoices. And thanks to everyone who supports the show.
and anything that they're going to release an update for that's going to make something like that better is probably something that you're only going to notice if you're on a Mac anyway. I mean, you're not probably using FaceTime if you've on your Windows
Right.
machine if you've got this hooked up to Windows. So making
Right.
sure the camera is working with center stage the way it needs to is immaterial to you.
Yeah, but as
So-
Jeff said, you can have an older Mac OS and it wouldn't work.
Right. But I would think if they were going to do it, it would be for a currently supported operating system. And right now that's Monterey, Big Sur, and Catalina.
I think if you're buying a $1,500 monitor, then it's time to get something.
It's
newer.
you can
Oh,
take an hour and download a free OS
I wasn't
update.
complaining.
No, I'm just saying buy something newer.
And-
I'm not going to buy this monitor and hook it up to like a 2011 Air because
An original iMac, an original Mac Mini. Yeah. So-
PlayStation 2.
In fact, I'm thrilled after all the various devices I've had that were difficult or impossible to update firmware from a Mac. And it was like the instructions were get a PC and, run this program. And it's like, wait, what? So finally the worm has turned.
So the worm is on the other foot, right?
Yeah.
the worms in Guy's hair.
Did you guys see
Lots
that
of them.
thing that I posted that the cord is not removable?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That's like the HomePods.
And-
I've
and-
already
aren't
seen
either.
videos of people removing the cord.
Well,
Oh, yeah. Well-
there's some special tool that
With a-
Apple has to remove it.
And 9 to
And-
5 Mac has already duplicated it.
Yeah, that was the link. They've got a 3D.
Oh, was that from you? Yeah.
Yeah, that was for me. The 3D printed
Yep.
thing, which is like, wow, you have to 3D print this device
So-
in order to take the cord off.
It's
No,
a-
to take
all
it out
you need to
safely.
do is go and get like a mason jar or something and wrap the cord around it and pull. Because
Well,
what you're
you
trying to
know-
do is get the even pressure on the cable.
Yeah. So that you pull the cable out and don't accidentally pull one of the pins out with it.
Or crazy thought, get 4 and 5K monitors for about half the price from somebody else. If you don't need center stage and you don't need
Well, where
some
are
of
you
the
gonna
other
get a-
stuff that
where are you gonna get a 5K monitor for half the price from somewhere else?
I've got two Dell 4K monitors here that I think now go for $350, $400. And
Yeah.
are they to the exact same specifications as Apple's $1,600 to $2,000 monitor? No, but they don't have to be for what I need them for.
I would
And
think
I
about
think-
this today.
I'm looking at a Dell 32-inch monitor sitting on my desk, which was $350. And
Yeah.
it was great, but it's not a 5K monitor. So you said 4 and 5K.
Can you see the
You
difference?
you can find 4 and 5K monitors for much less than this.
What other 5K monitor is there besides the LG?
There are very few 5K monitors,
Okay.
They exist,
there.
but there aren't many.
but there aren't many.
my
There
question
is
is, can
anything
people,
besides the LG?
Not that I know.
Uh, I believe
I don't
Dell,
think so.
Dell has a 5K or a 6K.
Dell has one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Dell has it.
And
Yeah.
they might be the
And-
only
Ultra sharp.
one.
Yeah. I can't remember. I know I swear I've seen another one, but I don't remember right now.
I want to say that
I
Dell's
have a
is a
1K
6K.
and it's all fine.
Dell,
mean-
Apple, Lenovo,
Lenovo.
LG.
Looks like AOC might have one. No. Yeah. For $9.99.
Philips.
Well, while they look at that, when you look at a monitor, to me it's either it looks okay or it looks like crap. Like I looked at the studio display and I look at my monitors and I guess I'm not an audiophile and I'm not a displayophile. I really can't see the difference in it, and I really tried to convince myself to buy the thing.
I bought my 4K monitors as a recommendation from a videophile who said that this was the way to go. So I have a pair of LG 4K monitors, and they're 27-inch, and they're great, and they look just fine. And before that, I had bought a Dell IPS display when like the only game in town from Apple was the Thunderbolt, the 27-inch Thunderbolt display or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And like my only complaint about that was that it was kind of hard to see my monitor over the pile of money I saved by not buying the Apple one. And I feel like a lot of people are in the same
Right?
boat here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, the differentiating factor for the studio display is center stage, spatial audio, and is that something
Bragging rights.
people need? And bragging rights. Ooh,
And-
I've got a shiny,
ooh.
expensive Apple external
Mhm.
display.
I have two devices that do, and I don't.
Did you hook it
I
up with
haven't-
one of those gold-plated monster cables?
Right?
I haven't.
Because
I
they're
haven't
so much
used-
better.
I haven't used spatial
Yeah.
audio and center stage in like God knows how long. So to me, it doesn't matter.
Hey, Jeff, I believe another differentiating factor with Apple's display is the color management. And it's funny
Yes.
because I have completely forgotten the word Apple uses now. For us olds, we used to call that color sync. True Tone.
Is it true?
Yeah, but I can do something very similar to that with my ViewSonic monitor.
Yes, but that's not the point. You can
and
do
I can-
something
I can
very
even-
similar.
I can
This
even
is
get a
built in.
calibration tool that matches it perfectly to whatever color profile I want to use.
Still not the same, but you're absolutely correct. And as a professional working with color, I would much rather have my own colorimeter and do my own calibrations. But True Tone being built in does give you color consistency across all Apple devices, and you do nothing to make it happen.
Right.
That's true. That's
yeah.
true.
I mean, I approach things from a completely different perspective, as a former Windows user and still Linux user. I love doing things from the command line. I mean, come on, give me terminal or give me death.
You can have death.
Okay, yeah.
And with that, that's a lot.
We're
of
out of
downloads.
command line.
Yeah,
Well,
I
all
think
right,
we
I'm
just.
gone.
Yeah, but I want to go back
No,
and
I-
ask a question of the group. I saw the piece on the non-detachable cable and building your own tool and all. What's the big deal? Okay, so it doesn't detach. It would be nice if it did, but is that a deal breaker for anybody? Does anybody really care that much other than just trying
Yes.
to generate
A little
light?
bit. I mean,
Yes.
it's not
I
a
have-
deal breaker, but it's hard to move with a cable on it.
Dave and I go ahead. But I was just going to Dave and I go under desk and we try to like disconnect workstations, and too many times you're on the wrong side of the cable and you have to, so yes, having something that detaches on that end so you don't have to fish wires through is
Yep.
a big
Or
deal.
if you want to do some cable management, and as we all know, over time, devices change and the way that you route stuff changes, and to be able to disconnect the power cable to a device, any device, so that you can run it in a different way that's going to work with the stuff that you have now is
Right.
paramount to good cable management.
They've been doing monitors like this for 50 years and it works. Why is Apple changing it? Like, what's the reasoning of them doing it? So
That's a great question, Warren, because the other thing is cables go bad.
Mhm.
yeah, there's another thing.
For whatever reason. Either the wiring gets corroded inside or something chews through it. And so, now what do? You have to
Apple's
take
going to
your
say it's like
monitor-
that for a reason. They're going to come out next week and say, well, the reason why it's connected to it is because we shielded the spatial audio needs to be shielded through. They'll come up with something.
No, what
Well,
it was
First, you have to bury the dog that chewed through your power cable.
well, yes, that's true. Unless it was a mouse, and then
That's $1,500 power cable, right?
or
there.
one of Jeff's squirrels.
Oh, those little pimp rats.
But you're so cute.
But didn't Apple do the same thing with the Thunderbolt 27-inch from 2016, 2014? The cable was not detachable as far
I
as
think
the
it was.
connection.
I don't
I
remember
mean,
that.
Well,
No,
how about
one
the
of them
HomePod?
wasn't.
The HomePod.
And the
one of them
HomePod's
wasn't.
not. It should be,
HomePod.
but it's not.
Well, the HomePod's not because everybody. Well,
Well-
it should have been because everybody was like, "Hey, I could detach this and it charges by USB-C, right?" And we could try to make it portable. If I kind of remember
Yeah.
that being the case.
Well, that hasn't stopped anybody because there are people who still make little bases. You can set them on and plug the thing in and one thing and
Right.
another. But yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they tried to make it like use the USB-C connection to like say you bring it in your car and things like that. So
Yeah.
Now,
I
the only real reason I can think of for this specialized cable is Apple could not design a C14 connector to work with a standard monitor cable, but they didn't want to change how the power supply was positioned.
Yeah. It's
And so
off
they
in a
had
weird
to
place or something, maybe.
Yep, they had to adapt the the standard cable to fit into a non-standard receptor.
That would make sense.
Apple would love you to not tinker with any of their stuff. And that includes
There's
taking
also that.
cable off of it.
Ever.
Oh,
Yeah,
just
so-
wait, just wait until my rant tomorrow.
I am looking forward to it.
It's
Oh, they-
interesting. They didn't use the
Jeff-
magnetic one that they used on the iMac.
I would get the thing, but you have the VESA mount I need, and that takes it throws the availability into 2025 to try to get one with the VESA mount on it. But then I read today you could bring it to the Apple store and they'll swap it for you. But I'm thinking you have to then you're paying for both of the bases.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of
Well,
course
now
you
the-
are.
They're not going to swap it out. They don't swap it out. What they should do is swap out the existing base and not charge you for it. But that's not what they're doing.
Well, think of it as a convenience fee for not having to wait to 2025 to get your display.
So
Yeah.
if I'm at my house like 2 years after that, and I want to change from a VESA display back to the stand that I bought that came with the thing,
Mhm.
can I do that, or do I have to
No take-backs.
travel back to
No,
Apple?
no. You
No,
got
You'll have both parts.
You'll-
Take it back
you
in.
pay again. You pay again.
No
No,
take
no,
backs.
no. But
iFixit will have the tools for you by that point. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Well,
I was
that's
under the
true.
impression it was one and done. Like you can't.
That
No,
cha-
well-
well, no.
no, because you're buying the extra. I mean, again,
Originally, we
you're
thought
buying it.
that once you buy it that way, that's the way it is forever. And if you want to change it, you just have to buy a new studio display.
Yeah.
And this week, Apple announced that they will allow you to either take it into
Oh,
an
okay.
Apple store or an authorized Apple service center. And the technicians have kits that they can use to change your stand or your VESA
Okay.
mount.
Isn't that nice that Apple's letting us do that?
but are they
Oh,
going
it's-
Foreign
to
our
it- it's-
store.
It's
But
really
what's the
odd
charging gonna be?
because
like?
Yeah.
What are they going to charge you?
$400
Are they going
bucks.
to charge you to swap it out and just a service, or they're going to sell you the stand?
They haven't told us that yet. They
Don't
say
know.
that pricing will vary based on location.
The VESA mount's going to be like a $700 add-on option.
So,
Okay, is anybody going to buy one of these monitors?
no.
Okay,
I mean,
so
anybody on this panel.
yeah,
I just
Right,
told
a
you how
lot of
happy
people
I
will
am
buy
with
them,
mine.
just not us.
I don't. You know.
When it first got
this
announced,
seems like a first world problem.
oh, absolutely.
No, it's a nerd world problem. Nerd world problems. Look at your first world problem and go. First
Yeah.
world problems.
There's an
Look
app
at
for
nerd
that.
world problem and go. Really?
The real problem is they're only 27 inches, so you have to buy two.
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
That's
we
crazy.
can't function without at least two
Two?
monitors.
Well, I
At
could
least-
function.
at least
I could get.
two.
I could go with 132 or two of anything smaller than that.
Next time on Mac Voices, this Mac Voices Live panel takes a look at some of the heroic efforts that are being undertaken by our friends and Apple developers in the Ukraine in defense of their country. On a lighter note, then, we start to discuss some of our favorite non-tech podcasts. That's all next time on Mac Voices, and I hope you'll join us. Until then, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.